All right, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Sean Black, aka DFS 5050. You can follow me on Instagram at DFS 5050. Basically, I just want to say happy Friday to everybody. Thank God it's Friday. We have a 10-game slate tonight. It's going to be kind of crazy. And with that being said, we're going to have a good time nonetheless. With no further ado, I want to go and show you guys basically my top line of the night. My top line of the night was at 317. Basically, I was 17 points away from taking down the tournament. At one point in time, I was up 30 times my money. However, Damian Lillard basically, had enough, had some more juice left in his system, and he went bonkers. I mean, I had him in one of my other lines, and he, did pretty well. So I'm definitely not complaining about that whatsoever. But nonetheless, this is the line that I had. I had Dragic, Conley, DeRozan, Booker, Tucker, Jefferson, Aldridge, Porzingis, and Noel. I did make some changes to a couple of my lines at the last minute based on the news and just looking at what the theory was on this particular slate. The theory being on this particular slate was going cheap on your small forwards and then lighting it up on your other positions where available. And that's basically how everything panned out. As you can see here, the winning lineup had Tyler Ulis, Damian Lillard, DeMar DeRozan, Devin Booker, Harrison Barnes, Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, Marquis Chris, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Alex Len. Funny enough, I had 317. I had Nerlens Noel, who was 1% owned. However, let's see here. If I would put Marquis Chris, I probably would have 5 more points. Let's see, Harrison Barnes. No, not really. Devin Booker. I think where I could have, if I was able to fit in Damian Lillard and switch out Porzingis for Chris. Yeah, I think I was basically 2 players off in a particular sequence, which is fine, no big deal. Again, one of the things that's really been helping me out is being able to show you guys my thought process in building my lineups, as well as what I have written down on paper, and as far as who's giving up the most points to the respective position. That particular strategy, along with my optimizer here, in which I have players that I cherry picked from, has been a very, very, very big help and very instrumental in helping me win more consistently. The more consistent you are, the bigger your wins will be over a period of time. I'm not looking at it for the short run, I'm looking at it from the long haul. So that's basically one of the things that I was looking at. Sorry, I had to flip over to this channel to make sure that I have the chat open in case someone decides to ask a question or if anybody is in the mix. So basically, that's the top line that I have. With no further ado, we're going to go into the lineup optimizer show. And all right. Okay, great. Cool. We're set up in there now. All right. So what I want to do is start off by looking at the Vegas trends right now. Right now, we have the Cavs and the Hornets. The over-under in that game is 211. The Pistons and Orlando Magic are at 207. Denver Nuggets, Indiana Pacers, 218. The Nets at Washington, they are at 221.5. We have the Suns at the Celtics for 219. 76ers and Bulls, 209. Hawks at Bucks, 202. Pelicans at the Rockets for 231. Timberwolves, Lakers, 218. Kings and Warriors, you're looking at 214.5. As you can see, guys, there's a lot of real juicy matchups in here. Let me go ahead and get out of here because for some reason my computer is running a little bit slow when I have this tab open. So let's go ahead and remove that. Right off the bat, if you want to take a look at some plus minuses here, in the point guard position, we're looking at someone that's looking really good right now is Elfrid Payton and Patrick Beverly. They seem to be at the top two in the plus minuses and the positive aspect of it, at least. Let's switch some things around here. Okay, that's not working. All right. Seems like John Wall is questionable. Don't know what's going on there with him. Let's find out. Okay, yeah, head. Okay, what was that? Let's look at the news on that there. Okay, maybe not. All right, hold on. All right, so anyway, John Wall is questionable. Let's see, shooting guards. Right now, Harden is up on the rankings right now. His rating is at 96. Giannis at 69. Even he's ranked 69, but he's rated at 69 on the Fantasy Labs model. Bradley Beal, Klay Thompson, Nicholas Batum, Devin Booker. Those are some guys that you might want to take a look at if you're just going based on plus minuses only, okay? Wilson Chandler, probable. Covington, definitely in play. LeBron James, I honestly feel LeBron James is going to be somewhat lower owned. I feel like Butler is going to be more owned than LeBron due to the fact that LeBron has not been playing all that well. He does have a fairly decent matchup, but we'll see. Anthony Davis, I got burned by him a couple of games ago, and I don't really know who's going to be the beneficiary of this game, considering that Davis and DeMarcus Cousins are playing on the same floor. Right now, the thing about the plus minus tab inside the Fantasy Labs model is that it's ever changing. It goes up and down based on news. So that's something that you want to be mindful of if you decide to use this for your studies and for your research. As you can see, Karl Anthony Towns has the biggest plus minus. He's facing the Lakers. A lot of people are going to be stacking this game along with a couple of other games. I feel like the New Orleans-Houston game might be a potential trap play. If you look at some of the players, the last two outings they played, they played against each other. Some met value, some didn't. And that's definitely something for you to look at and look into. On our end, I want to start off this show by showing you some value plays that I think will be very good for you to think about. The number one person I'm thinking about right now is Nick Young. Minnesota does not have a shooting guard. They do. I mean, they have one in Brandon Rush, but he's not really much of a defender. I feel like Nick Young should have somewhat of a decent game if he gets the minutes. And as always, we're going to look into Nick Young's stats and see if we can have some type of confirmation of him being a good play. Okay, the matchup is below average. Let's see. Last time he's played against these folks, he only had 10.7 fantasy points. He's at 3,700 now. It wouldn't really take him much to score if he can get opportunity to do so. I don't know. That's a very interesting play there. Let's see, Jordan Crawford. Him scoring 25 fantasy points at minimum salary. He's actually a shooting guard. but I believe he more or less plays back up towards for Drew Holiday. So let's look at Crawford here. Okay, he has his DVP matchups are looking really good. We don't have anything on his usage or player efficiency because he's kind of fresh into it. And last time he played against them, he got about 15.5 fantasy points. He's able to score. He's able to put up numbers. It's just a matter of him getting more than 20 minutes. As you can see here, anytime he's went over 20 minutes, he's been able to produce more. So hopefully in this game, he can get that kind of look. But like I said, Jordan Crawford is definitely someone you can definitely look at into your plays for this evening. And the over-under is high enough for him to be able to produce. Now, you know what? As a matter of fact, let's look at how they fared the last time they played. Let's see. Okay, so New Orleans won 128 to 112. So the over-under on that was 240. I mean, it ended up being a total game total of 240. So, and they're predicting them to do 231.5. So, as a punt play, we could definitely plug him in, and let's see what's going on. Okay, so the news on Wall with his questionable is he was nursing a migraine. Okay, got it. All right, so we're gonna pick Jordan Crawford here to start off. Next person we have in line is Andrew Wiggins. In a couple of shows, a few shows back, I told you guys, hey, listen, I don't really trust Andrew Wiggins too much. I still don't trust Andrew Wiggins, but at the same time, you're facing a Lakers team that doesn't defend well in the small forward position. Let's see what kind of DVP matchup we have with him in favor of him. Right now, it's above average. Let's see what he's been performing as of late. 32, 21, 29, 31, 30, 23, 17. Let's see, when's the last time he played against them? How much did he have? Last time he played them at 6,500, 56.3 fantasy points. Will he be able to hit that number again? Not sure. But the thing is, we're looking at overall value for 7,000. If he can give us about 35 fantasy points, then that's definitely someone that we will want to target. The situation with him is not so much that he's not getting the minutes. He's getting minutes. I mean, he's on the floor almost the entire game. It's just, I don't know, lack of confidence or whatever the case may be. But for the sake of the show, we're going to plug him in because, again, I'm putting him in a GPP line. These guys that I'm putting in, a few of them are going to be GPP and a few of them are going to be cash. The type of lineups that I like to make are hybrid lines. So, we're going to work through it and make sure that we get a good line going. Okay. All right. So the next person that we have in the mix is CJ Miles. Let's see. The over-under in that game is 218 against Denver. Let's see what kind of matchup we have here. It's a fairly good matchup. Let's see. Have they played against each other this year? Let's find out. CJ Miles. Okay. Last time CJ Miles played against these guys, he scored. Let's see. He scored 26.3 fantasy points at 3,700. He's at 36 right now, which is a $100 discount from where he was before. And this guy is able to put up numbers if he's getting the opportunities and he's getting the shots up As of late, however, he's been somewhat on a cold streak. So that might be someone you can plug in for GPP, someone you can look into for this lineup. I'm not going to plug him in, but definitely he's someone that you can definitely take a look at if you're looking for some salary relief and in your GPP lineups. So put him down as a consideration. Terrence Ross, he's been very, very consistent as of late. He's definitely someone that you can definitely look at in creating your lines. There's other better options in the mix. Now, if you come across anyone better, I mean, other than Wiggins and whatnot, then what you can do is you can probably pivot off to either CJ Miles or Terrence Ross. Looks like tonight is the night for a lot of point guards, and we'll be getting to those guys very shortly. So, the next guy that we have is Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas is facing Phoenix. Phoenix is on the second on the end of a back-to-back. Boston is supposed to blow these guys out by 17 points. The matchup is there for Isaiah Thomas against Ulis. The issue with that is, will he be able to meet value at 8,500? So let's see. The last time they played, 46.9 fantasy points at 9,300. In the salary, there's room to make a case for that. We're going to go ahead and plug him in. He's a good matchup. The usage is there. The player efficiency rating is there. The pace is there. The defensive efficiency of the team is there. The pace is there. Let's make it happen. Let's plug him in at 8,500. Give you some room to work with some other players in the mix. All right. Al Jefferson, no. Ryan Anderson, no. Marquis Chris, yes. I want Marquis Chris. Marquis Chris is getting starter minutes. He's been starting the past 5-6 games, and with them changing the rotation the way they have, he's going to get that work. Boston doesn't really play well against power forwards, and I feel like Marquis is going to be able to take advantage of this situation. Hopefully I'm right. He's at 5,000. But, I mean, the guy is doing numbers. At 4,400, he did 26.2, and he was playing 25 minutes. This guy, as of late, has been averaging well over 30 minutes. So, and his price dropped by $100. So, I don't know. I feel really good about Marquis Chris. A lot of people usually like to be off of him for some reason. Again, this guy, he's a rookie, and he's talented as crap, man. So, I don't know. I'm just going to plug him in. I think that Marquis Chris is actually safe for cash. I truly believe that. So that's just something to think about, guys. I say out of these four that we picked thus far, for salary relief, if you're doing cash for salary relief, I would do Jordan Crawford. He'll be lower owned. No one's going to be really on him because they don't know what kind of minutes he's going to play. But usually this guy is at least guaranteed 15 to 20 minutes or more. Okay, Isaiah Thomas and Marquis Chris, those will be my cash plays. They're able to hit over 30 to 35 fantasy points. And I don't know. I feel like people are going to be scared of the blowout. But I wouldn't be. I mean, as long as at 8,500, all Isaiah Thomas has to do is hit 40 to 45 fantasy points, and he'll meet value, let alone exceed it. So I'm going to plug him in, keep it moving. Marquis Chris, where we have him in. Another person that we can look at in the shooting guard position is Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is going against Sacramento, and he's definitely somebody that you could take a look at. It should be a fairly easy game for him to score on. Although I have my eyes on someone else in that game, Klay Thompson would definitely be able to get a lot of work in. Okay, so at 7,300, he's been somewhat of a small streak, I believe. Yeah, 35, 47, 28, 40. He's been more or less consistent, fairly consistent. Average, in the last three to five games, he's been averaging over 28 fantasy points. So, there's no complaints about that for sure. Hold on one second, guys. All right. So basically, let's see here. I like Klay Thompson. There's another guy that I'm looking at though, but I'll get to that person in a minute. All right. So, anyways, we have basically so far 4 players in the mix. All right. So now I'm gonna look at my top plays of the evening based on my value system here. Okay. So we have Andrew Wiggins, Steph Curry, Isaiah Thomas, Paul George, Brad Beal, Klay Thompson, Dennis Schroeder, Kemba Walker, James Harden, Karl Anthony Towns, and Brook Lopez. Be careful with Brook Lopez. They might sit him out on this game. Not sure. But some news should pop up on that because, everyone's been stressing about these back-to-back games and this NBA schedule. So you want to be careful with that. Okay. So be mindful of that. Alan Williams, he got into some serious foul trouble yesterday, and they benched him because of that. He didn't really get that much play. Of course, John Wall is questionable. Devin Booker had a pretty solid game last night at 6,900. He is 6,500 tonight, which is a $400 discount. Brook Lopez, I think he's about the same in price. Karl Anthony Towns will be a popular play tonight. There's a pivot off of Karl Anthony Towns that you can definitely take a look at tonight. And so right now, Steph Curry, his matchup is somewhat even. I like it a lot, actually. It's a high over-under game. Everyone's going to be on James Harden and LeBron and Kyrie and whatnot, but I feel like Steph Curry is definitely going to have something to work with there. So let's plug him in real quick. Matter of fact, let's look at see if they played against each other anytime this year, considering there's 82 games in the season. So they played twice, in which one game he scored 34.7. The other game was 56.3. Right now, Steph is at 9,600. So he would need to have about a 50-pointer or a 50-burger for those who like the industry lingo. He would need to have a 50-burger in order for him to be able to meet value. I'm pretty sure you can get value elsewhere with that. But for right now, let's go ahead and plug, we already have him plugged in. Right now, we have 6,600 per player to pick from. All right. The next person that I'm looking at, and I feel like he just needs to be a plug and play and forget, is Paul George. He's fighting for playoff contention. And at 8,600, he's not really disappointing anyone at this moment because he really wants to make the playoffs. That's an emotional bias. Who knows? I'm not sure. However, Paul George, let's see, based on his matchup, let's see what kind of numbers he's had against the opposing team in Denver. Of course, like I said, the matchup is pretty good. The usage is up there. And from the looks of it, last time he played them at 7,800, he had 25.3 fantasy points. The only thing that the thing is, I don't want to ignore this particular stat. I just don't. I don't want to ignore it. And the reason I don't want to ignore it is because we had the same scenario in LeBron James, and he didn't really meet value at all. However, LeBron is not really playing for much because they're already going to make it to the finals, right? At least that's the theory that we all have in the industry. So 8,600 previous games, he's been pretty much lights out. 49, 41, 24, 52, 31, 43, 43. I mean, for the most part, he's been very consistent. I mean, the games where he really, more or less kind of struggled were against New York, surprisingly, and Toronto. And of course, Toronto is a defensive house minus Corey Joseph. But mind you, in this game where they lost against Boston, he played 42.2 minutes. So if we can get him over 35 minutes, then we are more or less, over 31 minutes, we're guaranteed to get more burn off with him. So Andrew Wiggins is my top play of the evening with that. Paul George is secondary. I find value elsewhere in that. Bradley Beal is in a really great position. He's facing a team that's on a back-to-back. So, and yeah, the numbers are going to be all the way up through the roof for these guys. Bradley Beal is in the mix. I think I'd rather have Bradley Beal at 8,000 over Paul George at 86. And the over-under is 4 points higher too. So. All right, so right now we have 6,100 per player left to put into. We have Isaiah Thomas, Steph Curry, Jordan Crawford, Brad Beal, Andrew Wiggins, Marquis Chris. So we're missing small forwards, small forward, power forward, and a center. Usually I try to start off with the centers first, but I don't want to fall into Brook Lopez. I actually want to get someone else in the mix. Karl Anthony Towns for what we're trying to do, I feel might be too expensive. Now, remember, I was telling you guys that I had a pivot off of Karl Anthony Towns, and that pivot will be Zubac. Let's find him here. Zubac. Right. So with Zubac at 4,500, he's projected to do about 26.9 fantasy points. His floor is about 22.4. He's very well able to exceed his value. He can actually get you 10x. And let's see if we have some numbers here to fortify my theory. The matchup is pretty even. He likes to be in the paint. The over-under is high. And as you see over the past 4, he's been averaging well over 23, 24 fantasy points. In the last 5, he's actually had a 40-burger in the mix at 3,700. Let's see, last time these teams played, he didn't really get that many minutes because at that time Mozgov and Tariq Black were taking a lot of power out of him, so to speak. So, and it's a fairly decent matchup with him if he plays. If he starts, he should start, and he has a decent amount of field goal attempts. So it's definitely somebody that you might want to consider looking into. I'm going to plug him in to save on salary. And guys, when you're creating your lineup, it's always good to have a good mix of players in different games, especially the right value plays in these games, and where, by the time the late slates come around, you're like maybe 30 points away from first place, and then you're missing like 2 players or so, and then these players are able to come in and carry you over into the leaderboards. Okay, so I have Steph Curry and I have Zubac in the 10:30 slate, and then of course everyone else is filling in as it goes. And all of these players that I have in the mix right now are very well capable of carrying your overall lineup to, to the top positionings in these games in the tournaments. So right now we have 6,900, 6,950 to play for our power forward and our small forward. All right. So let's continue looking here. And now what I'm going to do, since I'm very confident on some of the plays that I've had in the mix here, what I want to go look at is some plays based off of who's given up the most points to the respective position. In the small forward position, what we can do, we have Gilchrist, we have Cephalosha, we have George, we have Covington, Crowder, Chandler, and Ingram. Okay, now Ingram is probable for tonight. Crowder, he definitely can be in play tonight. I believe TJ Warren is out, so we can pick Crowder. Crowder can at home can definitely get you some points. Definitely, he could definitely be your 30 to 40 fantasy point dog. So his matchup is not all that great, but again, TJ Warren is out. More likely, Jared Dudley might take in that position, but he's not much of a defender, so there's really nothing for him to worry about. Last time they played at 5,900, he basically was at 5x. And he's been somewhat consistent over the last 5, about average. I'm going to plug him in at 59 and see what we get left out of that mix. I would like to say that Crowder is safe for cash. All right, so this is what we have here. Okay. Isaiah Thomas, Steph Curry, Jordan Crawford, Bradley Beal, Andrew Wiggins, Jay Crowder, Marquis Chris, Ivica Zubac. We're missing one more player for 8,000 on the power forward position. Who should we get? We can get Kevin Love. I seriously doubt. We can do Dario Saric. We can do, matter of fact, some power forwards you can look at right now is Mirotic, Young, Dang, Gordon, Saric, Holmes, and Williams. All right. And Mirotic being number 1, actually. I feel like between Mirotic and Saric, that could be a very interesting play right there. But who to pick is always going to be, it's totally up to you, really. Rashawn Holmes, 5,900. He's a very good play. Let's go with Mirotic. And the reason we're going to Mirotic is because he's at 4,600. He has a 10x upside. And he can really get the job done. So now what we have now is Ivica Zubac, Nikola Mirotic, Marquis Chris, Jay Crowder, Andrew Wiggins, Bradley Beal, Jordan Crawford, Steph Curry, and Isaiah Thomas. Centers. Let's play it. Now that we have this lineup, I say that this lineup is solid enough. But I feel like now I can probably optimize it just a little bit more. Let's compare Zubac to Pachulia. Pachulia has a below average matchup. and he's been somewhat on a cold streak. He's at 3,900. He's facing a Sacramento team that doesn't do well in the center position. In a situation like that, you can always try to pivot off, maybe try to pivot off to Kufos. It seems like Kufos has the better matchup, but the blowout is imminent. Okay. And as you see, he didn't really do that well in the last outings against them. But Pachulia, let's take a look at what Pachulia did. He was out, so there's really no really good sample size on him other than the first game that they played against each other, in which he had 26.4 fantasy points at 3,800. He's 39. Ivica is 45. Let's switch it out. So all right, so we have Marquis Chris, Crowder, Wiggins, Bradley Beal, Crawford, Curry, and Isaiah Thomas. We have $4,000 left in our salary cap. And of course, there's a number of things that I can do with this lineup right now. I can either replace Wiggins and put in LeBron James. I can either take out Jordan Crawford and put in Klay Thompson. Let's see. I could take out Beal and put in James Harden, but then I would have to save somewhere else. And let's see. Let's look at LeBron James, King James. This matchup is not all that great, kind of, sort of. Below average. However, he's had a 70 burger against them in the first outing. The second outing, he met value at 53.7. He exceeded it by 0.2 points. And then after that, he's been, here and there. So, 1 day's rest. We can pivot off and go to him instead of Wiggins. But Wiggins does deserve a nod, considering that he's at 7,000. He's at least been averaging 30 fantasy points, and he has a favorable matchup against the Lakers, in which that one time he did have, 56.1 fantasy points. So, may not necessarily want to save there. Let's take a look at James Harden. We probably need some exposure to this game anyway. I just hope that James Harden is not my trap play of the evening. James Harden against this team, he did 73.3 fantasy points. The previous outing before that was 40.8, in which he only gave us 3.5 times the money. The outing after that, 6.2 times the money. Let's see. And then the first outing, he almost met value. So these teams have played against each other 3 times. I would say he could probably give us around, hopefully, if he can give us about 60, he's definitely somebody that we can, make happen. Overall, let's look at who has the highest usage of the evening, and then who has the highest player efficiency rating of the evening. Okay, so James Harden, Isaiah Thomas, John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and Steph Curry, they all have the higher usage, player efficiency rating. James Harden, Kevin Durant is out, of course, Anthony Davis, so on and so forth. Well, at this point, though I would love to have James Harden in this mix, I think I'm good where I'm at. I feel like he might be a popular play. I have 4,000 left in the mix. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove Jordan Crawford, and I am going to plug in Klay Thompson. Okay, so that's it. We have Isaiah Thomas, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Bradley Beal, Andrew Wiggins, Jay Crowder, Marquis Chris, Nikola Mirotic, and Zaza Pachulia. Okay, there's multiple ways we can go about doing this game. There's a lot of other options that we can go with. Right now, let's take a look at some of our stacks for this evening. Right now, from the looks of it, the stacks are somewhat scattered. There's a lot of mini stacks going on, but the solid stack that I have right now is a 4-man stack out of Sacramento. So let's take a look at Sacramento real quick. Sacramento Golden State game. Okay. And that stack will go as follows. Darren Collison, Buddy Hield, and Willie Cauley-Stein. Those are the three. That's the 3-man stack that I have. All the other stacks that I have right now are like 2-man stacks, which, I mean, you know, there's just too much variance going on there. But I will say Collison, Hield, and Cauley-Stein. Because, see, unfortunately, we do have room for a small forward, but they don't have a small forward for that team, which is unfortunate. I'm pretty sure they could really use Matt Barnes right about now, but they don't have a small forward. I know Tyreek Evans on DraftKings poses as a small forward. I wouldn't go there, honestly. Willie Cauley-Stein, if, you know, I think he's definitely someone that you can definitely target. His DPP is looking really good. Buddy Hield, he's at a negative, but at the same time, they do give up a lot of points to the shooting guard, even though the matchup is not all that great in his favor. Whenever Buddy Hield gets, let's see, this guy, whenever he gets over 30 minutes, he's bound to produce numbers. And he's getting more and more. He's getting more, he's been getting more favor in the side of Jaeger. And I think he's definitely somebody that you might want to target and hit and whatnot. So, again, we got Collison, we have Buddy Hield, and we have Willie Cauley-Stein. That's definitely a cheap stack that you can work off of and build a lineup with. As a matter of fact, let's see what it looks like inside the DFS domination station. Okay. In here, these are some of the lines that they have, some of the bare bone lines. Matter of fact, let's do this. We have Jeff T, D'Angelo Russell, Giannis, Nicholas Batum, Andrew Wiggins, Chris Middleton, Markieff Morris, Tobias Harris, and Ivica Zubac. Haha, look at that. Crazy, right? Anyways, let's do this here. Let's get Collison in the mix. Sorry, guys, my computer's running a little bit slow today for some apparent reason. I don't know if I have a lot of windows open or not, but that shouldn't be the case. We said Hield. He's super cheap. And Stein. I feel like this stack can definitely separate you from the rest of the crowd. You know, a lot of people don't really do a lot of stacking on 10-game slates, but I mean, it's a cheap enough stack we can get some power plays in the mix. I'm gonna do one line here. Let's optimize that right quick. All right, so what we have here is Jeff Teague, Darren Collison, Buddy Hield, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Andrew Wiggins, Jimmy Butler, Willie Cauley-Stein, Tobias Harris, and Ivica Zubac. Okay, so that's the Sacramento stack in the mix. And so you have a couple of lines to play around with. You know, do your due diligence, and if not, you know, feel free to play them. And if you hit, shoot your boy a tip. You know, tips are greatly appreciated. If you happen to play this and it hits, you know, $1 ain't gonna hurt you. In any case, those are some of the lines that I have. One more thing. I'm gonna give you some top plays on each position that you can consider. In the point guard position, look at Holiday and Thomas and Beverly. In the shooting guard, Batum, Levert, and Hield. In the small forward position, Gilchrist, Cephalosha, and George. Power forward, Mirotic, Young, and Deng. In the center position, Pachulia, Capella, and Vucevic. Okay, so those are some plays. This is your boy, Sean Black. I am going to sign off. I'm going to finish off doing some more research. I hope you find this intuitive and informative. And if you do so, like, comment, share, let people know about this. Again, as I'm showing you guys my thought process, I'm learning new things and I'm becoming a better DFS player. And it's also dope to have a community of people that are getting better with me. And then through what they're seeing me do, they can create their own situation and, you know, maybe be able to pass it down and teach someone else as opposed to being greedy and just keeping it all for yourself. The cool thing about being a DFS player is, and playing DFS is that there's a lot of variance. So, you know, any night can be your night. You know, soon I will be playing, you know, $3 mini dribblers because the past couple of nights I've been doing very well on the $1 mini dribbler. I mean, I've been hitting been anywhere between, you know, second and third place. So I was thinking to myself, like, well, okay, if I start doing the $3 mini dribblers, and it's the same amount of people inside the tournament, then my likelihood of being able to see, you know, $70 to $200 is very high, right? Because I would love to make that, you know, that kind of money off of $3. You know what I mean? Especially if you could do that 3 or 4 times a week. I mean, that's some good income there, and you can definitely build your bankroll up from there. Especially if you only have a small investment, like let's say, for instance, you turn it 9 to 200, you know, and then also it'd be a nice little YouTube story to tell, hey, how I turned $3 into $200 playing Fanduel, right? So anyways, this is your boy, Sean Black, aka DFS5050. If you have any questions, follow me on Instagram at DFS5050 and shoot me a DM or make a comment on one of my posts. Your support and your liking, your sharing, your commenting, and telling the world about me is greatly appreciated. If you are an artist or if you love music, check out my website. That's www.seanblack.com. DFSportfolio.com is coming soon. And I will holler at y'all later. Y'all be blessed. Get this money.